Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.
Shalom, shalom. Yasharal and Yahuda. Grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach. We're listening to Aki Lorvins, and his song is entitled We the People. The song is entitled I've Been Changed. The album is entitled We the People. And I know that the Ruach HaKodesh is in me and that it has changed me. I don't own the rights to this music. I know that his Ruach HaKodesh abides, remains, continues, and dwells within me. I've been changed. Yahuwah, I give you praise right now for your Basura of truth, your Torah made flesh. I thank you for the words that you gave Yahushua HaMashiach, the words that he's given to me, and the words that I've kept. I have kept your Torah. I keep your commandments, Yahuwah. I walk in obedience to your Basura of truth. Now, Yahuwah, you have gifted me. You have given me your Ruach HaKodesh. This is power. This is authority. This is exousia. But it is you and Yahushua establishing my body as a temple, a dwelling place. Yahuwah, we're celebrating the Feast of Dedication. Yahuwah, we're dedicating and remembering the dedication that was exhibited by Shlomo as he dedicated the temple, and by Judas Maccabees, who came in and reestablished the temple service and cleaned out all the wickedness. And Yahuwah, I thank you that Yahushua HaMashiach, he is the temple of Yahuwah. Yerabasa. And because of him, I can be a temple. Yahuwah, I pray that the words you've given me, I give to them. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that the words that I speak would not cause anyone to be turned out of the way, to come up lame or stumbled. Yahuwah, take the reins of my lips, the reins of my tongue, and reign. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuwah, I give you praise. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Listen, We the People, the album by Lorvins, the song entitled I've Been Changed. I don't own the rights to this music. Listen, have you been changed? Have you been sealed by the Ruach HaKodesh? Is Yahuwah now occupying your temple? Is Yahuwah now occupying your temple, him and Yahushua? We're celebrating the Feast of Dedication and how they dedicated the time and service, how they dedicated the temple and the things that were used in temple service, how they dedicated them to Yahuwah, how the first temple was constructed by Shlomo. His father provided everything that he needed in order to establish this temple. King Dawid subdued nations. He took booty. And he took tribute. And he stored it up to prepare for the time that Shlomo would build the temple of Yahuwah. Temple made by hand. Elaborate. To mirror the temple in the Shamayim. Elaborate. Beautiful, spectacular, splendid temple. it was destroyed because of the disobedience of those that were in Jerusalem. How they turned to idols. How Shlomo led them down the road to idolatry because of the wives that he married. You know, Yahuwah never intended for us to have multiple wives. Right. He even said it in the text that the king should not take multiple wives. And, you know, we can argue that multiple is multiplication, and you don't begin to multiply until you reach 2 or 3, right? Because everything after that is a multiplication, right? Because 2 plus 2, or 2 times 2, is that it? 1 times 2, you know, whatever. It's a multiplication process. But you can argue, right? But the intent of Yahuwah's commandment is not for the king to take multiple wives. But Shlomo, you know, he did it, and Dawid did, and why Yahuwah allowed it. That's between Yahuwah and them. You know, that's between Yahuwah and them, right? But I know that led to the downfall of Shlomo because he began to gather all these dime pieces, right? You know, I don't mean no disrespect, but Solomon was looking for the tens, right? No doubt he was enamored with the beauty of different women from different cultures, right? And he gathered them to themselves, right? But with them came their idols. Yeah, with them came their gods, right? Yeah, and they wanted their gods in their land, in the land that they had married into, right? And Shlomo, you know, Shlomo gave in. He yielded, in spite of knowing what he prayed to Yahuwah and the dedicating of the temple. In spite of having the Ruach of wisdom and understanding, the Ruach of counsel and might, the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuwah, he just allowed himself to slowly be seduced, because the seduction is subtle, it's gradual. Don't nobody just show up in Yisrael and marry Shlomo and say, I want an idol here. It was a process. Over time, he began to yield to the desires of these foreign women, right? Not the daughters of Yisrael, right? No, not the daughters of Yisrael, but the foreigners, the heathen nations, right, that were paying tribute to him in some way, shape, or form, that was seeking him out because of wisdom, marrying king's daughters, you know, the likes. But these women led to his downfall because he allowed them to bring in idols into the place where Yahuwah said he would establish his name. Because, you know, Yahuwah wasn't going to be able to occupy this temple that Solomon made because, you know, Yahuwah is too big. You can't put Yahuwah in Shamaim and Yoretz. It's too big. It can't contain it. But Yahuwah said, I'm going to put my name here. I'm going to be identified in Jerusalem. I'm going to be identified in this temple, and I'm going to be identified by the people that are called by my name. Put my name here, right? When you bring your sacrifices, right, and when you bring your offerings, I'm going to visit them, and I'm going to consume them. I am going to demonstrate to you, I'm going to verify with you that I'm with you. Yeah. But Shlomo, you know, he allowed these women to cause him to defile the temple of Elu. Right? This defilement was passed on in his sons. You had certain sons that recognized that there was sin, and they tried to make a move towards obedience to Torah and restoration of the order. But you know, I mean, the deed had been done. Shlomo had established these isles of these women in these heathen nations and put them in the temple of Yahuwah. Put them in the territory where Yahuwah has established his people and his name. Like, I will not have any other else besides me. And you gonna introduce these elves into my kingdom? Well, you know, as a result of their sin and whoredom, their idolatry, the extent at which they went and sacrificed to other elves, had groves where they went out and offered sacrifices to foreign elves. Yahuwah kept calling his people to turn and repent. Finally got to the point where Yahuwah says, listen, I'm not going to put up with it no more. And he sent his prophets to warn the people. Said, listen, you're going to have to turn, because Yahuwah's going to judge you if you don't. And they wanted to kill the prophets. They killed some of the prophets. They hear them. They didn't want to hear the truth. They can't handle the truth. They didn't want to hear the truth. Yeah, and as a result, captivity. Just like he told Shlomo, it's going to be captivity. Just like he said in Deuteronomy, it's going to be captivity. And the temple was destroyed. This splendid, this beautiful temple that was established was destroyed. All of the things that made it beautiful were taken. Yeah. And the people, the kings, they were taken. Yeah. So the temple in and of itself, though it was a place that was established in righteousness for Yahuwah, became the temple of idols. And Yahuwah did not visit it, and as a result, the people came in and went into captivity. 70 years later, 70 plus years later, they was given the go ahead to come out of captivity. They began to build the temple again, and they built the temple. It took some 40-something years, right? And then the Greeks came in. That's Babylon and Persian, they were in captivity to them, the Persians, and they was in captivity to Babylon, and then along came Epiphanes or Antiochus, right? And conquered them, the Persians. And the Hebrews felt like, they had been delivered by the hands of the Greeks. You had those who were just willing to say, listen, let's go to this king and let's show our gratitude, and let's allow ourselves to let's make us all Greeks. So we could all be Greek citizens. Then we could participate in all their Greek idolatrous whoremongering. But you had some that said, I can't do that. No, we won't do that. Can't do that, right? But it got to the point where there was this Hellenized population of Hebrews, right? They stopped circumcising their sons. They stopped setting aside their daughters for the Hebrews. Their sons they denied their culture. this Judas Maccabees and his brothers. He got these men of valor who loved Torah and obeyed Yahuwah's word, and they could not stand what had become of Jerusalem and the temple, and they went in, and they under the direction of Yahuwah, they went in, and Yahuwah gave them the power to clean out the temple. Yeah, they wiped out everybody that was associated and drove them out. Yeah, Hellenized Jews and Greeks cleaned the temple and established this dedication feast to run concurrent with, right, the Feast of Solomon and the dedication of the temple. And then not long after that, you got these Hellenized Jews, and now you got these Herodians, right? These Edomites, right? That now come in and establish themselves in Jerusalem, right? They've never been in bondage to no man, all right? These Pharisees, these appointees, right, of Herod and Rome. They defiled the temple again. They didn't offer sacrifices like pigs and undefiled and unclean animals like they were doing in the Greek. But listen, they didn't keep Torah. They kept this Babylonian Talmud tradition of men, this pagan, this unrighteous mashposh. And they took control over the Levitical priesthood. Right? Wicked. And Yahuwah, it's a matter of time. Yahuwah said, listen, I need to establish my temple in the earth. And I'm going to do it through my son, Yahushua Mashiach. He's going to become a living epistle. He's going to become a living temple. He's going to be the manifestation, the dwelling of me in the earth. Yahushua. So Yahushua was born. Got to where he was 30 years old. It came time for him to enter into his ministry. Short, but his ministry didn't have time to waste. He didn't have time to have fun, to participate in recreational events, you know, he didn't have time to go watch the Greek games at the Colosseums. He didn't have time for that. Yeah, he didn't have time for that. Yahushua came as the son of Elu. Right? And Yahukanan said, listen, Yahuwah told me I would recognize him because when he is baptized, when he comes up, the Ruach HaKodesh is going to send upon him, and it's going to abode with him, and it's going to be in him, and then he's going to baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh, because all I do is the washing. I do the ceremonial baptism, the cleaning aspect, the going down and the coming up. Doesn't necessarily facilitate a complete change, but it is a public declaration that you decided to take interest in this Yahushua Mashiach, to hear this word that was spoken by the prophet Elias. You are going to receive a king. Yeah. And Yahushua rose up with all power and the Shamayim and the Eretz. He became the temple of Yahuwah. See, because Yahuwah doesn't dwell in temples made of stone, made by hands. No. Yahuwah's dwelling places is in the Son of Elu by the Ruach HaKodesh. Right?
And as many as received Yahusha, to them he gave the same power, same ability to house him in Yahusha, thereby themselves now becoming the temple of Yahuwah. The dedication and its historical representation of our commitment and our reverence to our history pointed to a temple. It was not made by hands. It pointed to Yahusha HaMashiach, the son of Elul. Yahusha said in Yehukanan, the 2nd chapter, having had a discussion with the Pharisees in reference to why he had taken the liberty of getting everything out of the temple. Right? Yeah, because you know Yahusha, right? Yahusha went in and cleaned the temple. You know, he did what Judas Maccabees did. It was a type, if you will. It's the same motivation for righteousness, right? We going in. John 2:13. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Yahusha went up to Jerusalem, right? It's the Passover. It was at hand. And found in the temple those who sold ox and sheep and doves and the changers of money, sitting at ease, conducting business in Yahuwah's house. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers of money and overthrew the table. Yahusha was cleaning the temple. Judas Maccabees, when it took it by force, violently. Yahusha took a whip and began driving these people out of the temple along with the animals. Money changes. Understand. Yahusha was the fulfillment of the Basora. He fulfilled all things. Listen. And said unto them that sold doves, take heed, these things hence, take these things hence. Get this stuff out of the temple. Get it out. Get it out the temple, right? He said, get this stuff hence. Make not my Father's house a house of merchandise. Don't turn Yahuwah's temple into a place where you buy and sell, reducing his place of worship to a place of merchandise. And the disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. The zeal of thine house Judas Maccabees and his brother experienced the same zeal. They became enraged when the Hellenized Hebrews began to allow the sacrificing of unclean animals and allowing the wickedness of this Greek mythology to infiltrate the temple. And they rose up and they just knew they had to do something. So they drove them out. The zeal of thine house has eaten me up. The zeal of Yahuwah's people. The zeal for Yahuwah's people and their need for the Ruach HaKodesh has eaten me up. I just can't stand by and let you believe that you can make it without the Ruach HaKodesh, the zeal of who he is and what he has become. And the price that was paid is eating me up. Now I got to go into the temple every day. I got to come into the temple every day. I got to preach this basur of truth. I got to declare the word. I got to declare the truth of you. I got to declare the basur. I got to declare the basur of truth. I got to tell Yah's people, you need the Ruach HaKodesh. This zeal is eating me up. Then answered the Jews and said, and what sign show unto us, seeing that thou do these things? What makes you think that you have the right to do this? Show us a sign. The Greeks seek wisdom, but the Jews a sign. Yahushua said, you want a sign? Yahushua said unto them, destroy this temple in 3 days. I will raise it up. There's your sign. See, because Yahushua was the temple. He was where Yahuwah was dwelling. And only because he was in that physical structure was the presence of Yahuwah in that structure, because, he wasn't there. Yahuwah wasn't in the midst of them. They weren't keeping Torah. The priests and the Levites, they weren't keeping Torah. They were under the control and the dominion of the Herodians and of the Pontius Pilates, the Roman government. They was doing everything to maintain their seat, their wealth, their influence. You said, want a sign? I give you a sign. The temple that you will lay hands on and destroy. In 3 days, my Father is going to bring it to life again by the Ruach HaKodesh. And what he's going to do is allow me, by my sacrifice and the blood that I place on the altar and the Shamayim, he's going to allow me to be received. And that is going to establish his kingdom. And it's going to place his temple in the hearts of men. See, they didn't understand that. They didn't understand that Yahushua was the fulfillment of the dedication. Yahushua was the fulfillment of the dedication. The temple was destroyed again in 70 AD. It was defiled again. See, there's a different order of worship. Yahusha is tabernacling in the hearts of men. He's not looking for structures. And you know, in Christianity, we've got this mind melt thing that has happened to us where we've adopted this idea that Yahusha is in these buildings, right? He's in these buildings. His presence are in these amphitheaters, right? That he somehow is in these structures even when we're not there. He ain't even in them, right? Because he ain't even in Christianity. That's pagan. That's not the Besorah. That's not the Torah. That which they have has been hijacked and twisted, right, in order for them to identify with and make it their own. Yeah, so you know, they added in some sun worship. They added in some Baal worship. They added in some Estar worship. Yeah, they got all of these tree idols. Yeah, and they added all that stuff in. But Yahusha has established his temple and his kingdom in his people. See, the Ruach HaKodesh is just more than just this life force that gives you signs and wonders. It's the place where Yahuwah puts his presence in you. It becomes the temple of the Lord. Y'all don't hear me. Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple in 3 days. I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 40 years, 40 and 6 years was this temple being built. And would thou raise it up in 3 days? But see, but he spake of his temple. He spake of the temple of his body. Yahuwah was establishing individual tabernacles, places of dwelling. See, that's why, you know, I know you ain't got demons. And Yahuwah tabernacling in you. No. Ain't casting out no demons and nobody that's got the Ruach HaKodesh. Oh, no. Let's go to Corinthians. So, we understand that this temple dedication is beautiful and that it is historical and it helps us to understand the rights and the wrongs that our ancestors did. Right? But we can't stop at Judas Maccabees and the cleansing of the temple. You have to go all the way to Yahusha and the cleansing of the temple. You got to go into Yahusha and recognize the zeal that he had towards his father's house. And then you can't stop there. You got to recognize that Yahusha was the temple. Yes, you do. See, you got to understand that Yahusha is the temple. Now, you got to also understand that because of what Yahusha did, he put his Ruach in you, and now you are the temple of Yahuwah. If you receive this Ruach HaKodesh, because if you ain't received this Ruach HaKodesh, then you ain't none of his. If you haven't received the Ruach HaKodesh, then you're none of his. You don't belong to him. Yeah, you don't belong to him. Yeah, you can say all you want. Look, I did this, I did that, I did this, I started this assembly, I ran this group, I did this. Yeah, but you didn't have the Ruach HaKodesh, because if you had the Ruach HaKodesh, you would be in me, and I'd be in you, you and me and you, and I would have a tabernacle in you, right? And you would have been led by that tabernacle, and that tabernacle would have let you do the things that you do. Therefore, you could not have had me in you or the Father. I never knew you. Oh, yeah, that's just the way it is. That's what he said. You. Listen. 2 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Right? Let's start. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start up at the first verse of that 3rd chapter. Right? Now, Paul is dealing with the Yeah, Paul is dealing with the idea that these people who are carnal, right? Right? Carnal. Let's go. Let's let it work itself out. He says, and I, brother, could not speak unto you as spiritual. I can't deal with you as spiritual. Right? I can't deal with you, right? I can't deal with you, right? As having the Ruach HaKodesh. Oh, listen, you don't hear me. You don't hear me. Paul says, listen. And I, brother, cannot speak unto you as unto people with the Ruach HaKodesh. I cannot speak to you as I would speak to those who have received the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh and that are walking in the obedience, keeping the commandments and taking heed to the Torah. I can't talk to you like that, right? He says, but as unto carnal. Carnal, what is carnal? Carnal, the Greek word for carnal is
Strong's G 4559 sarkikos.
Sarkikos. That means as fleshly, having the nature of flesh, under the control of the animal appetites, right? Listen. That's what I'm telling you. You can't tell me that you have the Ruach HaKodesh and you casting devils out people. They are yet carnal. And they're not Ruach. He said, I'm not talking to you like you have the Ruach HaKodesh, because you don't. Listen, y'all better hear this. He says, carnal, governed by mere human nature, not by the Ruach HaKodesh of Elohim. Oh, yeah, well, listen. Paul said, listen. I speak unto you as I could not speak unto you as Ruach filled, Ruach HaKodesh people, right? Because you are yet without the Ruach HaKodesh. Even babes in Hamashiach, see, because you've been baptized, right? Right? You've been baptized. You've received the witness of Yahushua Hamashiach, right? But you still have to be dealt. I have fed you with milk and not meat, right? I have fed you with milk. Listen. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able, because you ain't got the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, that's why. I'm going to tell you something. Listen. That's why people are carnal. They continue to grow, right? Because they haven't received the Ruach HaKodesh. They have not learned by the Ruach HaKodesh to keep and walk in the Torah and keep the commandments. They continue in the baptism and the name of Yahushua. And it ain't enough to keep them. It ain't sealed. Oh, come on. We gonna get through it. He said, listen. He says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat. For hitherto, ye were not able to. Hitherto, you were not able. It's to bear it is added in. But hitherto, ye were not able. Neither yet, now are you able, right? For you are yet carnal. For whereas you envy and strife and division, are ye not carnal and walk as men? Listen, He did not say you walk as Els or as Ruach, Holy Ghost, Ruach HaKodesh filled men. In Yahusha, you have been baptized. In Yahusha, you have received Yahusha HaMashiach's witness, but that's where it stopped. You have received the Ruach HaKodesh since you believed. Because you walk in as mere men. You walk as men. Not as Aluas else. Having received the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen. We don't get through it. He says, for while one say, I am of Paul and I am of Apollos, are you not carnal? Now here's Paul and here's Apollos. Both are different styles, right? Different styles, different operations, but they both have the same Ruach HaKodesh. There's different administrations, there's different operations, right? Like Apollos was a real articulate kind of a Greek, right? Greek Jew, right? So, he had a philosophical way about him. Paul, on the other hand, Paul was just hard, straight. He stuttered, may have had a... right. But they were carnal. They weren't Ruach. They didn't have the Ruach HaKodesh. These people weren't operating in the Ruach HaKodesh. They weren't operating in the Ruach HaKodesh because they were carnal. They were carnal. Right? He says, and walk as mere men. See, because the Ruach HaKodesh in you will recognize the Ruach HaKodesh in anyone. Right? You'll recognize the Ruach HaKodesh in Paul, and you'll recognize the Ruach HaKodesh in Barnabas. Right? You ain't going to pick and choose and establish sides and going to say he's better and he's not as good. And you carnal. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, I don't care what anybody say. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, and you operate like this. You don't. Yeah, you babes. Yeah, you're on the milk. But the Ruach HaKodesh in obedience to Torah and walking in the truth of Yahushua HaMashiach's commandments, right, causes you to mature. The Ruach HaKodesh. He says, listen. For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another one say, I am of Apollos, are you not carnal? Who then is Paul? Who is Apollos? But ministers of whom ye believed, even as Yahu Adonai gave to everyone. Listen, you received the Basor of truth from him, you received the Basor of truth from me, and you believed. But have you received the Ruach HaKodesh? Because you're functioning as mere men. You're not functioning as men who have received the Ruach HaKodesh. You're functioning as mere men. You're operating in your carnal nature. You're operating apart from having the Ruach HaKodesh. He says, I have planted, Apollos have watered, and Alua has given the increase. But see, the only way that you understand that is by the Ruach HaKodesh. Because if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, then all you do is create division. Because you know what? You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. You don't have the spirit of Yahuwah and Alua in you, right? Because the spirit of Yahuwah and Alua walks a certain way. It connects a certain way. The Ruach HaKodesh, Yahuwah and Yahusha in you causes a connection. Because you know what? You understand that there's differences in administrations and operations. Right? Right? It's the Ruach HaKodesh that does the work. And you recognize the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, this ministry, this Basor of truth, may take you to a place, right? And once you get to that place, somebody else may come in and take you to another place. In Yahuwah, another level. Why? Because it's the same Ruach. Oh, man, listen, you don't hear me. You don't listen. You don't hear me. Listen. He says, I have planted, Apollo has watered, and Alua has given the increase. See, listen, that's why for me, I have the Ruach HaKodesh. I don't worry about what another ministry is doing. I really don't. Because I know that Yahuwah has given me what he's given me. Excuse me. And I recognize that there's other ministries that are doing the work. Their ministry may not be like mine. Now, their ministry should have the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm not making no excuses for not having the Ruach HaKodesh. Your ministry should have the Ruach HaKodesh. Any man or woman that you go to should be teaching by the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. And what they say is in agreement to what you've heard ruachally by the Ruach HaKodesh. You can't be listening to people because they sound good. That Maury sound good. Oh, yeah. He sound good. You ain't got the Ruach HaKodesh first, and you don't even know whether or not what he's saying is Ruachal. Because I'm saying you, something more is speaking Morse code. Listen, T.D. Jakes, right? Listen, T.D. Jakes, all them people, and he be talking, right? You know, I listened. I find like, I stopped listening to it because, I came into the truth. But I remember the last times I was watching him, I'm like, these people can't understand what this man is saying. They can't understand what he's saying. I know they can't. You can't understand what this man is saying. You really can't, right? Listen, the Ruach HaKodesh agrees, right? Why? Because it's the Ruach HaKodesh. All right, let me go on because I need to get to where I got to get to the end. He says, so then neither is he that planteth anything, or neither he that is watereth, because Yahuwah gave you. Listen, I ain't nothing. I'm just a man of Yahuwah that's going to spend every waking day that he has to speak a Wasora of truth to you, a Torah, with the hopes that those who have an ear to hear will receive it, because that's what he's called me to do. Right? He's called me to be a fisher of men. Right? He's called me to tell his people that they need to receive and walk in and be led by his Ruach HaKodesh. Everything I do, everything I say is going to bring back that point, because that's what's in me. That's what he's giving. So let's go on. He says, listen. He says, now he that planteth and he that watereth are one. Why? Because the Ruach HaKodesh is unifier. The Ruach HaKodesh in me and the Ruach HaKodesh in another Moray that has the Ruach HaKodesh, we are one. Now, we ain't one if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh and you just offering up lip service. That we ain't one. We ain't in agreement. The Ruach HaKodesh is the point of agreement for us. That's the point of oneness. Right? So if I had the Ruach HaKodesh and you had the Ruach HaKodesh, listen, you don't care. You're not concerned about things that pertain to my ministry, in the sense that it's going to pull away your people, or it's going to take away from your ministry. You don't care about no stuff like that, because you won. You're doing the same thing. Your mission is the same. I mean, your administration is different. Your operation may be slightly different, but the outcome is still Yahuwah. And the outcome is still walking in unity, being one, right? He says, now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. Listen, Yahuwah's going to reward me, and he's going to reward you. I'm not worried about how Yahuwah rewards you, and I hope you ain't worried about how Yahuwah rewards me. Because at the end of the day, we're going to do the same thing. The goal is to get our people to recognize they need to wake up, receive the Ruach HaKodesh, and prepare themselves in this administration, in this operation of the kingdom. We are his elves to establish his kingdom in the earth. That's what we're called to do. Okay, listen. He says, for we are laborers together with a lure. We are laborers together with the lure, and ye are a lure husbandry, and Alua's buildings. Okay. Now listen. You are Alua's husbandry, which means that, you take care of the gardens. You take care of those seeds that you sow. You take care of those by the Ruach HaKodesh, for being led by the Ruach HaKodesh, by giving out the word of Yahuwah, because, that's husbandry, that's seeds, that's planting, that's giving the Besorah of truth, that's speaking the Torah of truth, right, to your people. That's your husbandry, but you know what? You are his building. You are the temple of Yahuwah. Only if you receive the Ruach HaKodesh. Because if you didn't receive the Ruach HaKodesh, you're yet carnal. Right? You're yet carnal. You are yet carnal. You are yet carnal. You are mere men. You are yet carnal. You have not received the Ruach HaKodesh. You have not been transformed into his image, because you have not received the Ruach HaKodesh. You do not have Yahuwah in you. You are not his building. See, because for we are the labor together. We are labors together with Aluah. And ye are Yahuwah, you are Elua's husbandry. Right? Ye are Alua's buildings. Alua's buildings. You are Yahuwah's temples. You are Yahuwah's house. See, because Yahuwah is not interested in temples made with hands. See, Yahuwah established his kingdom in the inception of with Adam and Havah by placing his Ruach in them. And he said, he called you to subdue, to be the elves in the earth, to establish the kingdom in the earth, right? Be fruitful and multiply. Create elves in the earth. They were his husbandry. In the garden, they were his husbandry. They were his temple. He lived in them. But when they sinned, he removed his Ruach from them. Yeah. They continued to exist and live, to breathe air, right? But they lost their Ruachness. They became mere men. Right? They became mere men. They weren't his husbandry anymore. Now they had to work by the sweat of their brow to produce whatever it is they needed. Yeah. Yeah. Right. But we who have received his Ruach HaKodesh, now we are sons. We are his temple. We are his dwelling place. Right? We are buildings of Aluah. Right? According to the grace of Aluah, which was given unto you as a master builder. Now, according to Yahuwah's grace, what's that? Yahushua HaMashiach, which was given unto you, right? His death, his burial, his resurrection, right? His sprinkling of his blood in the Shamaim, the giving of the Ruach HaKodesh. This is what he's done, right? As wise master builder, I have laid the foundation and another builds, and let everyone take heed on build upon. Now listen. Paul is speaking about himself. He said, listen, I have the Ruach HaKodesh. I've received Yahushua HaMashiach, right? Because of Yahuwah's grace, right? Yeah, see, Ananias came and took the nails off my eyes. And then he prayed and I received the Ruach. I was baptized. And then Then he laid hands on me. I received the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Me, the Apostle Paul, right? Master builder, went straightway and began to preach Yahushua Mashiach in the temples. Yeah. That's why I straightway every day go into the temple here, right? Yeah, I manifest in the temple. I come in the temple every day, right? Declaring Yahuwah's word, like Paul did. He went into the temple every day. He said, "Listen, I'm a master builder because of the Ruach HaKodesh." See, I ain't doing this on my own, right? See, because apart from the Ruach HaKodesh, I'd be just a mere man. Oh, yeah, because without the Ruach HaKodesh, I'd be walking around persecuting Yahushua Mashiach. Yeah, without the Ruach HaKodesh, I'd be walking around persecuting Yahushua Mashiach. Yeah, I'd be kicking against the prick. Yeah. I'd be doing those things to drag men and women out of their houses, right? And I would participate in the stoning death of a Hebrew that have accepted Yahushua Mashiach and have received the Ruach HaKodesh. Without the Ruach HaKodesh, I'd not be a master builder. I'm not a mere man. See, but you are a mere man because you haven't received the Ruach HaKodesh. You haven't been quickened. You haven't been made alive, right? You still carnal, right? You still carnal. You still walking around with demons, right? You still allowing yourself to be possessed. Right? Yeah, you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. Yeah. He said, listen, as I build, you need to be careful how you build on them. Oh, yeah. You need to be careful about how you build. What you say, even about me. Because I give you what your Ruach HaKodesh gives to me, and you got to be careful about how you build on what I say. You know, you can't just go and tell your people, listen, that man is da-da-da-da, don't listen to him. Okay? You better be careful about how you build. Oh, shit, that's from somebody. That's for somebody today. I don't know who that is for, but you better be careful about how you build. That's all I'm going to say about that. For other foundations can no man lay than that is laid with Yahushua HaMashiach. Man, can't nobody do this the way I do it because Yahushua's given me to lay this foundation. For other foundations can no man lay than that is laid which Yahushua HaMashiach is laid. We can't do no more than Yahushua HaMashiach has given us the ability to do. I ain't going to do no more than Yahushua give me to do. And you ain't going to do no more than Yahushua give you to do. We're talking about the temples. Why is there the ability to do anything? It's because of the Ruach HaKodesh. We got to go. Because I got to get to a place. He said, now if any man build upon the foundation of gold and silver, precious stones and wood, hay and stubble, every man's work shall be made manifested, for in the day it shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall every man works no shorter. So which means in the end, listen, you know, if you doing what Yahuwah said and you ain't doing what Yahuwah said, either your fire being refined as gold or you were stubble and hay and you just being burned up, right? Which means that what you did wasn't really worth anything. It's going to be revealed, right? He says, if any man works abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. So if I declare to you that you need to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, and I take you in and show you the steps and what you need to do, and if you do that, then listen, guess what? That work is going to manifest. You know. And it's going to be rewarded. Now, let's go on. We getting there. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. So listen, if your works, he says, if any man work shall be burned, right, and suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved. Listen, which means that the things that you do and speak and teach for the kingdom of Yahuwah is going to come under fire. It's going to refine, right? That which is not good is going to be burnt off. Right? But Yahuwah is you're gonna be saved because you did what Yahuwah said to do. He says, know ye not that ye are the temple. Okay, now this is what we getting at. This is where we getting at. That was a foundational laid kind of thing, but this is what we're trying to get to. This is where we going. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Elua? You are the temple of Elua. You're the temple of Yahuwah, right? Yahuwah said that he was a temple in 3 days. You would kill him. He would be killed in 3 days. He would be killed in 3 days, rise again. Right? And Yahuwah was a temple because he had the Ruach of Yahuwah in him. He had the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah in him. Right? He had the Father in him. Yahusha. Yahusha had all power in the Shamaim and the Retz. He was the temple of Elua in the earth. Right? When Yahusha went into the physical temple, he was Yahuwah walking in the temple. When he made the scourge of strings and drove everybody out, he was Yahuwah cleaning up the temple. Yahusha was the temple, right? Now, listen. If you've received Yahusha HaMashiach, now listen, right? You've received the witness, right? Confession. You receive the water baptism, right? You got to you got to go past carnality and receive the Ruach HaKodesh. Because then you become the temple of Elua. You got to have the Ruach HaKodesh. See, because Yahuwah's purpose has always been to put his Ruach in his people. Like he did when he made Adam and Ava. Because of sin, right? Because of sin, he couldn't put his Ruach in everybody. He had to choose special men at times, women, to put his Ruach in, to lead them. Yahuwah had his presence in a tent. He manifested himself in a tent. When it was time to offer and consume sacrifices, Yahuwah wanted to place his Ruach HaKodesh, his presence, his essence of him and his son in men, as he established it in the earth at the beginning. Yahushua came to accomplish that mission. See, Yahushua came not just to die for our sins, but to make it possible for Yahuwah to come and live with us, because now he can live in us because we have been washed from our sins, and we have confessed Yahushua HaMashiach as being the Torah of Yahuwah. He is Yahuwah's salvation. We believed in our hearts that Yahuwah raised him from the dead, and we received his Yeshua. We received his Ruach HaKodesh. Now we're sons of Elua, daughters of Elua. Yahuwah's temple is now in us. Listen. Don't you know that ye are the temple of Yahuwah? You are the temple of Elua, and the Ruach HaKodesh of Elua dwells in you. Right? Now, the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, it should dwell in you. You walking as mere men. You walking carnally. Listen. He dwells in you. He says, if any man defiles through sin the temple of Elua, him shall Elua destroy. Yahuwah is destroying those that aren't his. He ain't destroying people with his Ruach. He's destroying those who've, listen, if you have, right, accepted Yahushua HaMashiach, right, his witness and been washed in water baptism, to be cleansed from your sins, but yet you continue in sin, you be destroyed. You were established to be a house, a building of Yahuwah. If any man defiles the temple of Eluah, him shall Eluah destroy, for the temple of Eluah is holy, which temple ye are. So, listen, if you have the Ruach HaKodesh and you defile the temple of Eluah, right? The Ruach HaKodesh. If you have the Ruach HaKodesh and you defile the temple of Yahuwah, you'll be destroyed. Let no man deceive himself. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seeming to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. For listen, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Eluah, for it is written that he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, Adonai knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Therefore let no man glory in men. Listen. Paul is dealing with he's dealing with a bunch of people who are carnal, who don't have the Ruach HaKodesh and don't move in the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? Paul says, he's here, he's talking about the temple of Eluah, and the Ruach HaKodesh are in you, right? He says, know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahuwah? The Ruach HaKodesh of Eluah in you? Do you understand this? Are you walking like this, or are you mere men? Listen, have you really received the Ruach since you believed? Are you still carnal? Are you walking as babes? Walking around here in the elements of baptism? In the receiving of Yahushua HaMashiach? You think you wise? You a fool. Listen. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Eluah? You are the temple of Eluah, because he has chosen you, and he put his Ruach HaKodesh in you, and you are his temple. Right? Now, you need to understand that you can't do anything with Yahuwah's temple. He's going to destroy you. Listen, if any man defiles the temple of Eluah, him shall Yahuwah Eluah destroy. You better count up the cost. The cost. Now listen. There ain't nobody with the Ruach HaKodesh that's committing sin and practicing sin. It's not. There's nobody with the Ruach HaKodesh that's got devils. Because Yahuwah don't share his house with devils. Listen, don't nobody have the Ruach HaKodesh and have demons and devils. Don't nobody have the Ruach HaKodesh that's moving around in the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. There's nobody that has the Ruach HaKodesh that's walking around carnal. Nobody that's a mere man has the Ruach HaKodesh. He says, are ye not carnal and walk as mere men? Mere men. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. You're walking around as mere men. You don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. You are to be the temple of Eluah. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Eluah? And the spirit of Eluah dwelleth in you? Do you recognize that? Is that something that you understand? Right? If you say that the Ruach HaKodesh dwells in you, do you know the Ruach HaKodesh dwells in you? And that you are not just anything or anybody that could do anything with Yahuwah's temple? Know ye not that ye are the temple of Eluah, and that the Ruach HaKodesh dwells in you. And if a man defiles the temple of Eluah, him shall Yahuwah destroy. Listen. There's no difference between what Yahuwah did to the physical temples that he will do to you. He destroyed that exquisite temple that was dedicated, that we remember. Destroyed it because it was defiled. Destroyed it. He destroyed the temple after Judas Maccabees and his brother cleaned it up and set it right for a season. Then came the Herodians, the Edomites, and they defiled the temple again. And here come Yahusha. Zeal driving out the defilement of his temple, the Father's house. They destroyed Yahusha. He said, "This temple, you gonna kill it, and it's gonna come alive in 3 days." And Yahuwah still destroyed the temple in Jerusalem a second time because it was defiled. Now, if he gonna do this to a physical structure that multiple millions went into, right? What make you think he won't destroy you? What makes you think that Yahuwah won't destroy you? He says, if any man defiles the temple of Eluah, listen, Hebrew, listen, this feast of dedication is about Yahusha. This feast of dedication is more than just what we have witnessed historically. It's about what has transpired from the time of Yahusha to where we are today. Right? The dedication of the temple should be the dedication of your house to Yahuwah. And I ain't talking about your building that you live in, your apartment. I'm talking about your body. Your body is a house of which Yahuwah is the owner. Yeah. He's put his Ruach HaKodesh there. You understand what that means? Do you understand what it means not to have the Ruach HaKodesh? Right? On the one hand, right? If you have the Ruach HaKodesh, if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, you lost without it. You still stuck in the purification. of the temple. You can only go as far as Judas Maccabees. The zeal that Judas Maccabees had for the temple was, come on, Maccabees. The zeal that he had, him and his brothers. The zeal that Yahusha had. You got to go beyond Judas Maccabees. The dedication of the temple is the dedication of your temple because Yahushua Mashiach made that possible. Beloved, now are we the children of Yahuwah. Now the Yahuwah. Now we Yahuwah's possessors. Now. This temple. Listen. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Eluah? You're the dwelling place. Yahushua said, me and the Father, we're going to come and make our abode in you. The Ruach HaKodesh. We're going to tabernacle in you. We're going to make our home in you. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. All right. 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 6 and 19. Let's go 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians no. Yeah, no. I want 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. All right, so 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. All right, we dealt with that yesterday. All right. He said, flee fornication, for every sin that man doeth without the body, but he that committeth fornication sin against his own body. Right? I said, you know what, man? You can't sin against the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm sorry. You can't sin against the Ruach HaKodesh. He says, listen, what? Know ye not your body is the temple of Eluah? Know that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh in you, which ye have received of Eluah, and you are not your own? Yeah, you know the Ruach HaKodesh. You gotta have the Ruach HaKodesh. You're yet carnal without the Ruach HaKodesh. You're yet carnal with the Ruach HaKodesh. You were bought with a price. He says, for ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify Eluah in your body, the temple of Yahuwah, and your Ruach HaKodesh, which is Yahuwah's, which is Eluah. See, the Ruach HaKodesh in you and your body belongs to Yahuwah. It's all Yahuwah's, man. It is yours. It's all Yahuwah's. It is all Yahuwah's. It is all Yahuwah's. He says, the Ruach HaKodesh, what you know not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And then he says, glorify Eluah in your body, which has the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Which are Eluah's. They both belong to Yahuwah. He put his spirit in you and your body is his. Yahuwah did what only his Father told him to do. Yahuwah was governed by the Ruach HaKodesh. Whatever his father said, he did. His father was in him. He was led by the Ruach HaKodesh. You better understand that this dedication is more than just a temple that was made by hands. There was a great price to be paid for the temple that Yahushua HaMashiach brung forth by his sufferings. His sufferings gave you the Ruach HaKodesh, made you the temple of Eluah, gave you the right to be called sons of Eluah, put you in the beloved, gave you power to be elves in the earth so that you can be an established kingdom. You who are subjects, pillars in his kingdom. This is about the dedication of your temple. Will you join the temple of Yahuwah with a harlot? Will you join the temple of Eluah with a harlot? What, know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body, and the two, he says, shall be one flesh? He that is joined unto Adonai is one spirit. You are joined with Yahuwah by the Ruach HaKodesh. You're one spirit, one spirit. Yahuwah and Yahushua, because they are one spirit. Him and the Father in you, one spirit. Yahuwah's in your body. That's what the diamond Havah was. He said, listen, he that is joined unto Adonai is one Ruach HaKodesh. One Ruach HaKodesh. That word spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, G4151, is the same Ruach HaKodesh as in referencing the Holy Ghost, which is G4154, right? It's the same Ruach HaKodesh that is in the 20th verse, where it says your spirit, which are of Eluah's, is G4151. It is all the Ruach HaKodesh. You're the temple of Yahuwah. You are to walk in the Ruach HaKodesh. He's made you alive. He's put his temple in you. Every time you get on your knees, every time you lift up your hands in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, his temple is in you. Every time you bow your knees and bow your head, the temple is in you. He's there. Oh, you have a connection to him by the Ruach HaKodesh to the Shamayim. Right where you are, because you're the temple. You can literally take the temple anywhere and make contact with you. You don't have to go to Jerusalem. Now, there's going to come a time when we're going to go to Jerusalem, because we have to do that in obedience. But what I'm saying is, in the lands of our captivity, listen, in these lands, even though we've been free, listen, I'm going to tell you something. The captivity is over. Oh, yeah, the time of the captivity is done. We in these lands just waiting for Yahuwah to either teleport us or to move us or to give us what we need to make the transition. But we ain't under bondage no more. 400 years is up. They know it's up. It's up. Right? We know that there's going to time when the temple is going to be established and men are going to have to come and worship. And we going to worship and honor Yahuwah because this is the covenant that we've been attached to and what we are to remember throughout our generations. But listen, we bring the sacrifice of Yahuwah, a praise. We bring our sacrifice to Yahuwah wherever we are. We offer up ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Yahuwah. This is reasonable service. Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh in you? Your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh in you, which ye have of Yahuwah. Yahuwah gave you his Ruach HaKodesh. You are his temple, right? And ye are not your own, which means that I am no longer my own because I've received the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. And with the gift of Ruach HaKodesh comes the surrendering of my body. Yeah. Surrendering of myself, right? Declaring this Besorah of truth. Entering to this synagogue every day. Declaring the Besorah of truth and teaching you that you need the Ruach HaKodesh. That's what. For I was brought with a price. Yahushua said, you destroy this temple in 3 days, it's going to rise again. I was bought with a price. Yahushua was hung on a tree, whipped with stripes, punched in the face, went into Sheol, and was resurrected on the third day by his father Yahuwah, and went to offer up his blood as atonement. And Yahuwah said, okay, I'm going to give them what they need, the Ruach HaKodesh. Because Yahushua prayed, Father, you know, you got to give them this because they need it. They go like that. You were brought with a price, therefore glorify Yahuwah in your bodies, which are in, listen, he says, glorify Yahuwah in your bodies, 1 Corinthians 6:20, and in your Ruach HaKodesh, which I don't understand why they just put in the Ruach HaKodesh, which are God's. Your body and the Ruach HaKodesh are Yahuwah's possessions. That's the same as him saying, ye are not your own, right? Last scriptures, right? 2 Corinthians. Second Corinthians. No, 1 Corinthians 9. No, 2 Corinthians 6 and 19. 2 Corinthians 6 and 16. Right. Trying to remember which one it is. 16. Okay. 2 Corinthians 6 and 16. Now listen. Paul was dealing with Gentiles who had no... Well, I had to clarify. Paul went to the dispersed and the scattered amongst the nation that had become assimilated, Hellenized, assimilated into whatever area, territory, country, speaking language, taking on culture and all that stuff, right? So he came and preached, but a lot of the people that he preached to were Hebrews, but some of them were not Hebrews, and those that weren't Hebrews, and even the ones that grew up who were blood descendants, that are culturally inept now because they haven't identified with their heritage, right? So you had people who did not have a connection to Yahuwah and his order, right? So, they've been living a life of fornication. They've been living a life of pornonia. They've been living a life of darkness, right? Yahuwah quickened them, and they had a dark life, right? He says in the 6th chapter of 2 Corinthians, the 13th verse, he says, and the 14th verse, 6:14, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, or what communion has light with darkness? Now, right, we have the Ruach HaKodesh, right? So we don't enter into contracts or covenants or agreements with people who don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Because what fellowship is there? What fellowship is there? What fellowship is there with people who serve their flesh? What fellowship is there with people who don't keep Torah and walk after the covenant? What fellowship, what communion, what agreement can we have, right? Right? It's like, what righteousness to do with unrighteousness? Now, we know the scripture says in Psalms 119 and 142, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy Torah is truth, which is referencing Torah, truth, as being obedience and righteous. So I'm righteous as long as I'm keeping Torah and I'm obeying Yahushua's truth. By the Ruach HaKodesh, then I'm righteous. I'm Yahuwah's, right? He says, so be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, right? People who don't believe the same things you believe in Yahuwah and Yahusha. People who don't keep the Torah of truth. People who don't walk in fellowship in the righteousness of Torah. You're unequally yoked. Listen. It's what fellowship has light with darkness? None. Darkness can't consume light, and light swallows up darkness. The two of them can't agree. They don't agree. Listen. He says, what concord has Hamashiach with Belial? Right now. Now, let's look at the Strong's Greek for Belial. Right? The Strong Greek for Belial is
Strong's G 955 Belial.
Belial. Right?
Thayer's Lexicon, second entry, Belial.
Now, that word has an Hebrew origin, right? And that's H1100, right? And that word is
Strong's H 1100. Belial.
Right? So that word means worthless. Worthless. Good for nothing. Unprofitable. Base fellow. All right? Wicked. Ruined. Destruction. Now, there's another root word right here. Etymology of the root word that we just spoke, that was Hebrew, is, and it's in Hebrew. It is
Strong's H 1097. Beli.
It means without, no, not, right? Or wearing out, right? And there's another etymology to this word, root, right? Hebrew, it is.
Strong's H 1086. Bala.
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 To wear out, to become old, to wear out, right? To wear out, use up completely, right? So what has the temple of Elua with worthless, good for nothing, unprofitable, based fellows that are ruined and all they do is lead to destruction, right? Right? Worthless, right? He says, what concord, right? That word concord is agreement, right? In the Greek.
Strong's G 4857. Symphonisis.
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 Right? That means agreement, right? So what agreement, right, has Yahusha, right, the anointed one, Hamashiach, with the worthless, with the based? Or what part haveth he that believeth with an unbeliever? Listen, Yahuwah has called his people to walk in agreement with him in his Besorah of truth. We have an obligation to fellowship with those who are in this kingdom, right? Now, this kingdom is those who have received his Ruach HaKodesh and who walk with his Ruach HaKodesh, who he occupies by his Ruach HaKodesh, his temple, right? He says, what agreement have the temple of Elua with idols? Right? For ye are the temple of the living Elua, as he hath said, I will dwell in them, I will walk in them, and I will be their Elua, and they shall be my people. These are those who have received the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah destroyed 2 temples. Physical, structural, building temples that were established with his name because they were defiled. Yahuwah allowed Yahusha to die and bear the sins of man and raise him up by the power of the Ruach HaKodesh to establish us as temples. Houses for him to dwell in by his Ruach HaKodesh. This you cannot take lightly. This you cannot gloss over. Listen, he destroyed the temple of Solomon. The Babylonians, Persians, they wiped it out, burned it to the ground. Yahusha came in, Maccabees, Judas came in and cleaned the temple again after it was rebuilt. After 43 years, 42 years, became defiled. Put it back in order. Then Yahusha shows up on the scene, and his zeal to do the will of his Father, to bring the presence of Yahuwah in the temple. Yahuwah and Yahusha walked up in the temple, and Yahuwah was like, what is this in my house? And Pharisees and Sadducees had the audacity to say, what gives you the right? He said, listen, and what agreement has the temple of Elul with idols? Okay. What agreement has the temple of Elul with your football games? What does Yahuwah's temple have to do with your sporting events, your arena games, your Olympics? Those things that you want to do that has nothing to do with Yahusha. What does the temple of Yahuwah have to do with idols? Listen, this is what Yahuwah wants us to do. He wants us to wake up his people. He wants them to understand that they need to receive. Listen, we ain't got time to be wasting. We don't have time to waste. We don't have time to waste. We are in the hour. We don't have time to waste. You don't got time to waste not teaching your people what it means to have the Ruach. You ain't got time to waste not laying hands on the sick and doing the work of the ministry. You don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste.
Kadar, cut it out.
You don't have time to waste. You're the temple of the living Eluah. As Yahuwah has said, I will dwell in them. He is dwelling in you by the Ruach HaKodesh. And walk in them. He is walking in you. Where you go, he goes. I mean, you gonna take the Ruach HaKodesh to the and cheer for your idols. I don't care. It's tight, but it's right. You read this text before. No, well, you quote that out of context. Okay. Well, you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh then, because if you don't, then it don't matter. You can do whatever you want, because you ain't got the Ruach HaKodesh. But if you do what you do in the name of the Ruach HaKodesh and Yahuwah, you're going to be judged. Because he already says that his temple won't be defiled. Look, Yahusha drove everything out of the temple. Yahuwah destroyed the temple Solomon built. Destroyed it. And what agreement hath the temple of Elul with idols? For ye are the temple of the living Eluah. As Eluah has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Eluah, and they will be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate. Saith Yahuwah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. He says, and I will be a father unto you, and you will be my son. You will be my son and my daughter, saith Yahuwah. You come out from among them and receive his Ruach HaKodesh. and live a set-apart life unto the Ruach HaKodesh, because he is choosing to live in you. Therefore, you can't sin. You can't willfully sin. You can't do it. Man of Yah, woman of Yah. That's it. You are the temple of the living Elua. Feast of dedication is about you. You're the temple of the living Elua. The feast is about Yahusha, and it's about you. It's about Yahuwah always wanted to establish a kingdom and a people and a place to worship. He's put his Ruach in you. You are his temple. You therefore can worship him in Ruach and in truth anywhere, anytime. No, it doesn't mean you don't keep the Shabbat. You keep the Shabbat. That's a Torah. Don't you go twisting what I say up. No. Doesn't mean you don't keep the feast days. No. Those was Torahs. You got to keep those. But I'm saying that Yahusha who was always intended in us occupying us. Just like it was with Adam and Hava. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all I have. On this day, I pray that Yahuwah bless you. Father, in the name of Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Abba, I give you praise for your Basor of truth, for your Torah of truth, your word that you have given me. I give you praise. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, I pray that the words that you have given me, that they would receive them. I know that it's only for those that you have chosen. And I know there are going to be plenty of people that just discard it, and that's okay, because you know what? You know who you want to receive this word. And Yahuwah, I thank you that, I look at all men that you have put your Ruach HaKodesh in as builders towards the kingdom. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, those that have your Ruach HaKodesh, I give you praise. Yahuwah, I pray that those who have not received the Ruach HaKodesh would receive the Ruach HaKodesh and develop an intimacy with you through prayer and supplication and fasting and seeking you in your Basor. I give you praise. Yahuwah, now let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. And Yahuwah, there's someone that's sick. Someone that needs healing. I pray that you would touch them in their bodies right now. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. I pray that there's someone who's oppressed by the devil. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray that you would deliver them. Urasa, Shiru Urada. I speak to spiritual demonic oppression. I speak to demonic oppression, demonic possession. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, to those who have an ear to hear, who know that this is for them, I say to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, that Ruach is subject to the anointing of the Ruach HaKodesh in me, and I command it to come out and leave in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. It doesn't matter if you're screaming. I don't care how you come out. Just come out in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. I plead the blood of Yahushua, and I declare, you that are under the sound of my voice, I declare unto you, you need to walk in the Ruach. Receive the Ruach HaKodesh and walk in the Ruach and go and sin no more. Go and sin no more, because these things come upon you because you sin. Go and sin no more. That's the worst thing come on you. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I say it so by the authority of the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yeah, I give you praise. I pray that your word has gone forth. I pray that the word is received. I pray it in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all I have. That's all I got. So, man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. In Yahuwah, called to be elves. Sons of Elua, daughters of Elua, temples of Yahuwah. Dwelling places, abodes of Yahuwah. Women of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made, set apart because of the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah has favored you. For that I say, shalom, shalom, shalom. Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.